Welcome to another exciting episode of the Blind Judgment Podcast. I'm Hugh. I'm here with my co-host, Jay.
Hey, girl, hey.
And together, we dive into some truly bizarre true crime stories. So, before we go any further, we have to acknowledge the fact that we went on a little bit of a hiatus.
This is true.
This is true. So 1 week we were sick, and then the next week, what did we do?
We went on a trip to California.
We went on a little trip. Specifically, where did we go in California?
We went to wine country. I'm going to leave the pronunciation of the actual place to you because I still don't know how it's pronounced. Everybody we met pronounced it different, so I want to hear how you pronounce it.
So it's Paso Robles.
Okay.
It's Paso Robles. It's in San Luis Obispo County. But yeah, it was absolutely stunning. It was gorgeous. Great wine, great time, perfect weather.
Yeah, I've been saying it's like a slice of heaven, and I know that sounds super hyperbolic, but everything looks perfect. Like the colors, the sky, the sunset, the weather, the vibes. I mean, it was awesome.
It was absolutely great. And even the food was really good too.
Yeah. I had Chilean sea bass. I'm not a big seafood person. Well, I got to stop saying that. Look, I eat seafood. I just don't like seafood that's looking at me, right? If it looks like I can put it in water and it's going to float away, I don't want to eat it.
Which is extremely specific. I feel like the majority of seafood that you would eat isn't looking at you.
But you know what I mean? Like some people order an octopus and I feel like when they put it on a plate, it looks like they took it from the ocean and put it on a plate and were like, here you go. I'm like, dude, that looks like it could be alive. And then they're just putting it in their mouth.
Or the ones that are like a whole freaking fish with eyeballs.
Exactly. I probably would eat that fish. Anyways, we don't have to talk about it. Chilean sea bass. I tried it for the first time. It was amazing.
It was good.
But anyways, yeah, it was a cool trip. So because of that, we've been a little MIA. And we know the fans. People pulled me over. We were in California, and people all over the place were like, "Hey, Blind Judgment."
People ran us off the road.
They're like, "Guys, where's the next episode?" And we signing autographs for hours. It's insane. We're like so popular.
So popular. Podcast of the year. So yeah, so we went to Paso Robles, California, in San Luis Obispo County. And oddly enough, our case today takes place in San Luis Obispo, California.
Oh, this is cool because since I was just there, I know a little bit about, the landmarks in that area. So I'm looking forward to this.
Adds another element to it.
So I'm not as blind as normal.
Not as blind as you typically are, but we're still going to do our typical. So if you're new here, let me kind of explain how we like to kick things off. So each episode begins with a collection of intriguing photos that are somehow connected to the crime. And Jay here, who's always in the dark, goes in blind. He uses these images as hints to try to unravel the mystery of the case. So I did send you those pictures.
Oh, girl, you best believe I already pulled them up.
But if you want to take a look at those pictures and then let me know what you think.
All right. First picture. All right. Yeah. Now I'm even more excited because I know exactly where this is at. So I'm looking at a picture of a valley, beautiful mountains, and it looks like a college town. And so I'm going to say that's Cal Poly. I'm going to say the victim attended this university. And then next picture is a picture of a bunch of dudes in a frat around a beer keg drinking. So we're okay. And then I see a dorm room basically with 2 bunk beds. It's empty. It's an empty room. Fourth picture is an earring or a ring. So some kind of diamond or jewel in the grass. That's it. So it looks like somebody dropped something. What is this? What is this fifth picture? It's like
It's high concept.
it's like a guy in a black, like a business attire, running away from a massive hand who's trying to grab him. It's like what you would have a nightmare of. Like maybe you're stressing about something at work. So, okay, I'm going to say there's a student who went to Cal Poly who was under, they were maybe in a frat. Maybe they're stressed out with something and they do something obviously that puts him into some kind of danger. That's kind of what I'm leaning with. I know I'm not giving you
Okay.
much, but I'm just thinking some kind of stressed out kid who, because he's so stressed, is doing something that they wouldn't normally do, and that one thing or that one night, it's kind of why they met their demise. I'm gonna leave it there.
All right. That's your final answer?
Locking it in.
You're locking it in. I think it's pretty good. So let's dive into the case. And then when we're done, we will check and see how you did.
Okay.
Okay. So this week, we will be covering the case of Kristen Smart. Are you familiar with that name?
Never heard of her.
Okay, so this is one, it did get some attention. This case, it happened in the 90s, but it did get some attention a couple years ago. So this might be one that our listeners could be perhaps a little bit familiar with.
Okay.
So while we're getting into it, this might seem a little familiar to you.
Okay.
But to start off, I am going to show you a few pictures of Kristen. Give me just a second for some technical difficulties.
Is this like your first podcast or what?
This is the first time I've ever used a computer in my entire life. Okay, if you want to look at my screen,
Okay.
I have some pictures here. So what?
Definitely looks like a Cali girl. So we have
Mm-hmm.
a blonde girl,
Mm-hmm.
and she's on the beach in one photo, just looking back. It looks like maybe she's on a family vacation.
Oh yeah.
And then there's another photo where she's literally like hugging or in between two other people who could easily be her brother and sister or maybe her friends. And then the other one's just a portrait photo of her. It looks like she's maybe 18, 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess maybe she's in college.
Mm-hmm. She's 18 years old. This is her senior portrait.
Gotcha.
Right here. And yeah, so she's on the beach here. She's a big beach girl. And then these are her brother and sister that she's in the picture with. You were correct. And she
Did I freaking nail that or what?
Wow, are you a true crime podcaster?
You damn right.
All right. So Kristen Denise Smart was born on February 20th of 1977 in Augsburg, Bavaria, West Germany.
Okay.
To her parents, Stan and Denise Smart, who were teachers for the children of American military families that lived on the military base. So she grew up with her younger brother and sister, both of whom she was extremely close to. They were like her built-in best friends. I mean, you can tell in the picture. And I just have one of the photos there, but you can find numerous photos of her. She just loved to spend time with her siblings, especially going to the beach. That was a shared interest that she had with them.
Yeah, it looked like it was the happiest day of her life in that photo.
Absolutely. So during her childhood, the Smart family relocated to Stockton, California, where Kristen attended Lincoln High School, and she graduated in the year 1995. So while in high school, she spent her summers in Hawaii, where she worked as a lifeguard and a camp counselor. So Kristen was very adventurous. She had a very adventurous spirit. She's really full of life. She was very curious and very studious. So she actually was accepted. She attended California Polytechnic State University, Cal Poly.
Right again.
So right, you saw that in the pictures, which is located in San Luis Obispo, California. And she was there. She was studying architecture. She wanted to be an architect. So in her first year, she's young. She's on her own. She's doing very well academically. Maybe not so well socially because she is so focused on her studies. She's very serious about
She's a nerd.
studying. I mean, she's very serious
That's not in your
about her
script to
education.
call her a nerd. Because I'll call her a nerd.
But at the end of the school year, at the end of her freshman year, she decides that she's going to change that.
Oh.
Okay. She's going to go out of her comfort zone and like live a little bit.
That's
She's
what
going to be
college is all
adventurous.
about, right?
Of course. College is all for that. So on the evening of May 25th, 1996, and this is during the Memorial Day weekend, she found herself at a birthday celebration at a fraternity house. And she was unfamiliar with most of the guests. Okay. Again, she had some friends, but she didn't really go outside of her bubble. So she didn't really know anyone really at the party.
Did she have like a roommate or anything?
She did. So she had someone who lived in her dorm with her. She lived in the dorms. And she wasn't going to attend the party with the girl she shared a dorm with. She was going to go to the party with this other girl. But at the last minute, that other girl was like, no,
she bailed.
I don't want to do this. I'm not feeling this. They were probably on the same page. But Kristen, she wanted to do it. She committed to it, so she wanted to go for it. So having arrived solo, she kind of mingled at the party all by herself. And probably as a way to combat any nervous feelings, any like social anxieties that she might have been having, Kristen is drinking heavily.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. Like she has never drank before. And here she is she's going all out.
I get it. She's nervous.
She's going all out. And she is becoming incredibly intoxicated. And people at the party are noticing. So at around 2 a.m., so now it's Sunday, May 26th, two fellow students, Cheryl Anderson and Tim Davis, are leaving the party and they discover Kristen unconscious on a neighbor's lawn. She's just laying in the middle of the lawn and she's passed out. So they are pretty worried. And they want to help. So they assist her and they get her up and they decide that they're going to escort her back to her dorm, which is nearby. It's on the campus. So another guy who was at the party, Paul Flores, joins them and he offers to help return Smart safely. He says he's going to make sure she gets into her dorm, into her room, no issues.
Uh-oh.
So Tim Davis was the first to leave the group, okay? He lived off campus. He had driven to this party. They had passed by where he was parked. And he kind of checks in with Paul and Cheryl. And he's like, all right, are you going to get this girl home safe? And they're like, yeah, of course. So he leaves. Not long after, Cheryl disbands because they came across her dorm. And at first, she was like, I want to make sure, this girl gets back to her dorm. I'll keep going and then I'll just walk back to my dorm. But Paul, the other guy, he's like, no. Like, you go into your dorm. I'll take care of it. Don't worry. Like, he totally he reassures her. He's like, don't worry. She's safe.
Right.
So Flores later tells the police that he walks Kristen to his dorm, but then he kind of assumes that she's okay. because she's been walking for a while. So he says that he goes into his dorm and then just leaves her to walk the rest of the way.
Wait, from where?
From his dorm. So I guess how the campus is set up,
Yeah, like how close is that, or how far is that?
I'm
Get
not.
into it.
I'm not. I mean, we'll get into it.
Okay.
But
Like, I don't know if he's just making her like walk up the stairs type of thing.
no,
Or
he
she has
is
to, like-
making her continue to walk
Okay. Okay.
for a little while across the campus.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, this would mark the last confirmed sighting of Kristen Smart. And at the time of her disappearance, she had no money, no credit cards, and no identification on her person. So I've given you a bunch of information. So where are you at right now? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm proud of my girl Kristen for being brave and going out of her comfort zone, going to this party, chatting up some people. But yeah, she got a little schnockered, I guess. But
She got schnockered.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this is probably what all women are terrified of, is being taken advantage of.
Let me tell you,
Well, and then she
nothing
doesn't
gets
have
my
like,
blood boiling.
and you
like
know,
this.
usually you have your girlfriend with you, or your girlfriends
Yeah.
with you, or your buddies with you, kind of watching over you if you get in that state, right? They know what to do, take care of you. But she went alone, so that sucks. And I hate that something went bad because of it. The one night she probably ever went out without her friends,
Or she ever went out.
Period.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like this is pretty out
Also,
of character
probably
for
what
her.
parents are terrified of, right? Like,
It's what parents are terrified of when you send your kid off to school. I mean, our parents are up in Stockton,
yeah.
which is not super far, but I mean, still, like and she's the oldest child. Like when you let your kid go, these are the things you're worried about.
Yeah. So it just sucks that because I guess where I'm at is I'm thinking this guy saw this girl maybe as somebody he can take advantage of, and yeah, I don't know. That's just such a nasty thought to have.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's the first thing that you think.
Right,
know?
right. But to actually like carry out, like, it's just
Horrible.
It's horrible.
Absolutely horrible.
So yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes.
Well, let's jump back in. So, when she doesn't return back to her dorm the next day, her roommate becomes concerned. But at first, she's not that worried. She's like, maybe Kristen just had like a wild night out. But when she fails to attend her classes, she becomes concerned because there's no way Kristen would miss.
Bro, they're throwing parties on a
classes.
Sunday? Or
Well,
you're
it's-
saying like she's been missing for like, I guess when was the party? A Saturday?
Okay, so the party was on Sunday. So this was Memorial Day.
Oh, that's right. So they had
weekend.
Monday off.
Yes, I think I made a mistake and I said Sunday. Okay.
It's all good.
Okay. Okay. Monday the 20th. Okay. Anyways. So, so she becomes concerned. She reaches out to Kristen's friends and they start to look for her. But when searches become unsuccessful, they notify campus police. And I mean, I'll say this right now. I feel like this is where the investigation into this girl's disappearance really stalled. The campus police, they really dropped the ball on this. They really fumbled a lot of elements of this case. Obviously, we'll get into it, but I think that is where the root of this issue lies. So the university police department, they initially believe that Kristen has just taken an unannounced vacation because she's an adult and she can do whatever she wants.
These excuses are always so ridiculous. Like, I feel like
for real.
if I was that lazy at my job, I would get fired instantly.
Oh,
Like if my
absolutely.
boss was like, "Hey, what's going on with this case? Like, what's your theory?" She just took an unannounced vacation. She's an adult, dude. Duh.
Bro, not only that, but like if I do not contact my father every day, are you kidding me? There would be a search party for me at all freaking times. There's no way.
And then imagine like a detective telling your family, "She's on vacation, dude. Y'all should be happy for her. She's having a great
No
time right
way.
now." Like,
My dad would be like, my daughter's not having a good time without telling me first.
serious. Like these. Okay. Anyways,
Anyways, all
so
right.
they
So
fumbled the ball. Got it.
they dropped the ball. So that led to a delay in reporting her as missing to local authorities. Despite the fact that her family reached out to the police sooner, she was not officially reported as a missing person until about a week later.
Dang, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
Wow.
So, a group of volunteers, they took it upon themselves to search for her. Some people rode on horseback. They organized search parties, so that way they can really scour the grounds of the campus. They don't really find anything.
Okay.
So, for nearly 20 years, no significant leads emerged. So while Smart's body was never found, an earring believed to belong to her was discovered on the campus.
Oh.
So this was discovered while they were doing their searches, and it was turned over to campus police. And unfortunately, this earring was not properly documented as evidence and was lost by the police.
So it was found relatively soon after she went missing
It was
and turned
found
in, but it
exactly.
wasn't properly documented.
Correct, but it was not properly documented. It was turned over to the university police, and it got lost. So it was never turned over to the official authorities, the
Wow.
San Luis Obispo authorities. So that piece of evidence was lost.
Wow.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Kristen Smart was officially declared dead on May 25th of 2002, 6 years after her disappearance.
And that's just because they couldn't find her.
They just couldn't find her, and they couldn't find anything. She had just vanished.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are we going to get into suspects?
Oh, we will. Let's
I don't know
dive
why
right
I
into
doubted
it.
you.
Let's just get right into it. So now I thought that this was a pretty interesting tidbit of information. Are you at all familiar? And I'm going to assume our listeners are familiar with it because it's just such a big case. Are you familiar with the murder of Lacey Peterson?
I am. I believe it's a
Oh,
husband.
did you watch? Did someone make you watch a series about that?
Was this a test? Because I was about like, if I would have answered that no, would I have been in trouble?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm familiar with that one.
Okay, so Lacey Peterson was a woman who was murdered by her husband, Scott Peterson. And how they met at Cal Poly. And they were attending school at the time that this disappearance took place. So there was like all of this speculation after Lacey was murdered, and that was like in the early aughts, in the early 2000s, that maybe her husband Scott Peterson could potentially be linked to Kristen Smart's disappearance, just due to the fact that that we knew after Lacey had been murdered that he had this,
Right.
This history.
That's a pretty loose link.
A loose link.
Right. It's like, he went
but
to
I
that
thought it was very
university. He's guilty.
interesting. There was a brief inquiry into it. He denied any connection, and he was completely cleared as a suspect.
Exonerated.
By law enforcement. Oh, yeah.
That's the longest word I know.
Now, police had another suspect. Paul Flores, who is one of the students who accompanied Kristen to her dorm the night that she went missing. So I'm going to show you some pictures of him just really quick.
I thought it was just one dude who was walking her home that night.
So there were a group of 3. There was one guy, and he bounced really early because
was I not paying attention or what?
Baby,
I thought it was just Tim. Was there a
buckle.
Tim in the story?
Yeah, so there was a
Okay,
Tim.
jeez, thank God.
And Tim was he was the first one to leave because he lived off campus and he drove his car there, and they got to his car and he left, and then there was the girl and she left, and then the last person who claimed that he left Kristen once he got to his dorm, and he was like, all right, girl, you walk the rest of the way. It's Paul. So let me show you just a couple pictures of him, and I want you to keep in mind that off the rip he was a suspect.
Okay. Yeah.
So here he is here. This is when
Is that a real mugshot?
This is a real mugshot, and I want you to keep in mind. I want you to really look here at the picture. As you can see, he's got a black eye, and this was right after she disappeared.
Like maybe he was in a scuffle?
Yes, as you can see, there's a date on this paper that he's holding. It says 5/29 of 1996. So this was mere days after she went missing, and keep note of his black eye. And then just here's another photo of him as well.
And yeah, okay, the other photo is him posing next to his truck.
Just so you can get the overall vibe of what Paul is like.
He looks super young, so I'm assuming he's a freshman. But anyways,
they are both.
This guy looks
they were both
like
freshmen.
Like a loser, to be honest. Like I want to say he's guilty 100%.
Well,
his mugshot, I'm judging it. It's a blind judgment. He's the killer.
This is the Blind Judgment Podcast. So, okay, also another sidebar about him. This guy is a total freaking creep. Okay.
I can tell. That's what I'm saying. Like,
so
he's
I
guilty
feel like
as hell.
As a woman, when I look at that picture, he looks like, and I mean, I feel like someone that you went to college with, that you went to high school with. Sure.
He looks like my first bully.
Oh my God. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you just get that, like, your stomach flip-flops a little bit. Like, you can tell that you should really watch yourself around this person. He totally is that person. Like, he is very creepy. So the girls on campus, they actually call him Chester the Molester. Yeah, because he would always grope girls, especially drunk girls.
Oh my God.
He would come on to them when they were clearly intoxicated, and he was not. I mean, this guy's a real jerkwad. And he has always been a person of interest in this case. They've actually searched his home. He was interviewed. He's always been on the police's radar, but they haven't had enough sufficient evidence to indict him. But it's one of those situations where it's like, come on, you hear the story, you can assume what happened, but we don't have the evidence.
Yeah, but put yourself in his shoes. Like, you have to see evidence. There has to be some kind of evidence.
Absolutely. I know innocent until proven guilty, but I'm this is just my commentary. This is the Hugh commentary.
Oh, sorry, it's your show.
So, in 2005, Kristen's parents, Denise and Stan Smart, initiated a civil wrongful death lawsuit against Flores. However, the lawsuit was eventually dismissed because, again, insufficient evidence, and Flores invoked the Fifth Amendment. So what do you think about that?
I mean, without knowing what grounds the parents were coming from, filing that motion. I mean, I figured that is what would happen.
Fair enough.
Doesn't surprise me.
It's true. I guess when I think about it, I think about her parents, and if I were in that situation and this were my child, and this is the year 2005, this is almost 10 years after she's been missing. You have a good idea, even the police have a good idea of what happened to her and who did something to her. and you just have to live with that, you know,
Yeah, with no
that
justice.
with no justice,
That's the
and
hard
there's
part.
nothing that can be done, and you're trying in vain to get some sort of
Yeah.
justice for your child,
Yeah, I
you
don't
know?
blame them for doing something. But yeah, I was like, if nothing's changed, like if they haven't found a body, I think that's the main
They
thing,
haven't
right?
found a
Like without
body.
a body, it's
No.
hard to have a case. So
Nobody, no
no
crime.
body, no case. So, um, but I get what you're saying. They just feel like they have to do something because they do, and they should not stop trying because of that, of getting stopped once. But anyways,
Absolutely.
so yeah.
Well, okay, so get this. So in 2007, the Flores family countered by filing a lawsuit against the Smart family
Oh
for
shit.
emotional
Distress.
distress. Yeah,
Damn. I feel like that is.
that's
I,
insult to injury.
oh, what almost makes them seem more guilty.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But this case does not lead to any form of legal resolution.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
So she was a
Very.
freshman?
She was a freshman. She was
Jeez.
just 19 years old. Very,
Jeez.
very young. She just at the start of her life. Yeah.
It's crazy that they didn't find anything.
They didn't find anything.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going.
Oh.
So in 2016, officials from the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Office revealed that they were pursuing a new lead in the case. So FBI cadaver dogs were brought in, and investigators planned to excavate an area on the Cal Poly campus for about 4 days.
What?
Yeah, so after 3 days of digging, some items were discovered at all 3 sites on the hillside near Smart's dorm. And a spokesperson for the sheriff's office stated that these items were being analyzed for potential connections to the case. And this is a process that could take weeks, months, or even years.
Why? Because of a backlog or something?
Backlog and just the process that needs to go into investigating what they found. They're trying to vet, like, is this connected to the crime? Is it not connected to the crime? Is this connected to another crime? So this investigation could take some time. But on April 22nd of 2020, the authorities executed a search warrant at Paul Flores's residence.
I knew it.
In San Pedro, California. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department collaborated with detectives from the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Department during this operation. So the reports indicated that there were several items of interest that were uncovered during the search. Notably, among the recovered items were date rape drugs and homemade videos depicting Flores engaging in acts of sodomy and sexual assault against young women.
Oh my God.
On April 20th of 2021, prosecutors announced that through the use of ground-penetrating radar and cadaver dogs, in their efforts to investigate Paul Flores's parents' home, they found evidence that showed that Kristen's body had been under his deck at one point, but it was
What?
dug up and moved somewhere else.
They can tell all of that from radar?
Yeah, with the technology that they currently have.
Okay. Interesting. I wonder how they can pinpoint that to a specific person, right?
I mean, I'm sure it's pretty science-y.
But like what about what they saw on radar
What would they have
identifies
been
it?
able to find? I mean, I don't know. It could be
I guess they found actual the things that
all
they
that the
found in the radar
reports.
that they dig up and
The only thing that the report said was just that they found evidence that showed that her body had been there.
So it could have been like articles of clothing or jewelry.
Could have been fibers from her clothing,
her
could be
hair,
pieces of her hair, fingernails, blood. It could be
Got it. We don't know.
like anything. It could
Yeah,
be it could be truly anything, and especially with the cadaver dogs. But that's what the report said.
Got it.
So not long after the discovery, Paul and his father, Ruben Flores, were arrested by the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Department in connection with the case.
Wow, his father too?
His father, too, yeah. So Paul faced murder charges, while Ruben was charged as an accessory after the fact.
Dang. I mean, yeah, if you buried a body at your house, I would suspect your parents. I was thinking that. I was like, dude, the parents had to have known.
They had to have known. I mean, if they found traces or if they found, that her body was under their deck, there's no way they couldn't have known.
Hey, Paulie, what you doing out there?
What are you doing?
Why are you digging up under the deck?
It's the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So investigations later revealed that Paul had attempted to rape Kristen and killed her, and then his father helped him cover up the crime. So because this case was so well known, so high profile, I mean, you remember whenever we were in San Luis Obispo, it's a pretty small town.
Yeah.
So everybody really knew about it. More than 1,500 jury summons were distributed to residents of this county. And it took them over a month to select jurors, which I thought was pretty interesting just because of how involved the entire community was with this girl's disappearance, something that happened, well over 20 years ago.
I mean, I didn't even think that was that long, a month. But that's me not knowing anything about the legal process.
Yeah, I mean, for a high profile case, that's probably pretty.
What's normal?
I don't know, dude.
Well, if you don't even know what normal is, why are you reacting to 1 month? What if it's like fast?
Because I'm being cinematic and this is a podcast.
Oh, sorry.
Jay.
I forgot this is your podcast. Go ahead.
So on October 18th of 2022, jurors convened at the Monterey County Courthouse and they reached a verdict in this case. Paul Flores was found guilty of first-degree murder, while his father, Ruben Flores, was acquitted of being an accessory after the fact.
Interesting.
He got acquitted.
How did the mom get out of this?
She was never included in any indictments. I didn't find any court information on her. It was just always the father, and the father was mentioned quite a bit.
Huh. That seems weird, right? No?
It's super weird. I even thought too in my research that I thought it was super bizarre. But she was also like not very involved during his trial in 2022. Like she wasn't around much, so I'm not, or even for the dad. So I'm not super sure
what
what's
the dynamic
going on
is there.
What the dynamic would be.
Okay.
So on March 10th of 2023, Paul Flores received a sentence of 25 years to life, and he is currently incarcerated at the Pleasant Valley State Prison.
Wow.
A little bit of good news. On August 23rd of 2023, he was brutally assaulted by his cellmate, who was actually serving a life sentence for killing his girlfriend.
Okay.
And also, he had previously killed his other cellmate.
Oh my God, bro.
The year prior. So in conclusion, to bring this
Don't
around.
go to jail.
Paul Flores is a creep, and it seems like he's in good hands. So yeah, let's round this out. I mean, this is really a cautionary tale. You can never be too careful. You always got to look out for each other, for your friends, like you said earlier on. You never know what can happen? You can never really trust strangers, especially in that setting. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this case?
I want to
Where are
know
you at?
what the jurors ultimately made their decision off of, right? And I know you said they found evidence with the LiDAR and all those tests and they dug stuff up, but I'd be curious to see if it was enough to convince a jury. I'd be curious to know like what that is.
Absolutely. I mean, because they've never found her body. Her body has
Yeah. So
never
to
been
me, it's still like, man,
found.
you still have to put together a crazy case to put somebody away
I mean,
for murder.
circumstantial evidence. You can put someone away with circumstantial evidence.
Right.
So,
I guess so. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I want to say he did it, right? And I think he did it. And
yeah.
I'm glad that there is a resolution for that family.
Yeah. And I mean, after all those years, I think it's awesome that, this family was able to get some form of justice. And I think that's so cool because there are so many cases that we've covered, that we will cover, where these people, their
They're left
loved
hanging.
ones,
Though
they
I thought
don't
the way
get
this was
that.
going was, yeah, I thought they were going to be left hanging.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I really liked this case, because I think it is so great that finally justice was served for this poor girl.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your judgment with the pictures. How do you think you did? Was it
I,
on par with?
I mean, I got the school right, but that one's the easy one because I knew that school was in that area. I said a kid was stressed out, so they did something different, which, I mean, you could say, maybe
I
she
think
was
you're spot
stressed
on.
out
Yeah.
about her social skills. And so she did something about it that she doesn't normally do, which is what I said. And it just went wrong. Yeah. So I did all right, but I think, like always, I was way off.
There are many times, Jay, that you are spot on or very close with your judgments. So
Thanks. No, I appreciate it.
give
No,
yourself some cred.
this was a good one. Wait, so can you explain the last picture that you sent me, which was of that guy running away from the big hand?
Yeah, so it was a little bit more abstract this time. Um, but that was supposed to symbolize the fact that he got away with this for so long, for so
Oh,
many
it's a
years.
metaphor.
Yeah, it's a very high concept. That's what I told you.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
that's what that is.
Screw that guy. I'm glad he got caught.
Glad he got caught. Glad he got his ass whooped.
Yeah, he looks like a bad guy.
Well, Jay, that's all I have for you today.
Cool.
That's
Well, this
the
was a
end
good
of this
one.
story.
It's all your fault that we haven't been on in a while.
You were the one who got me sick.
That's true. But this was fun. I missed
Very
this.
fun. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be recording again.
We got more eppies coming.
We got
more
a lot
on the
more
way.
coming.
So, subscribe. You know how it is.
Yes. Subscribe and leave a review.
All right, y'all. Until next time.
Bye-bye.